Alright, so here we want to sketch the graph of this ellipse here. So we got x plus 2 quantity squared divided by 64 plus y minus 3 quantity squared divided by 100 is equal to 1. And we also want to give the coordinates of the foci. Alright, so really there's no order in the way we want to do this. Okay, but first let's just find the center. Okay, so the center in this example is not going to be at 0, 0. Okay, so we see that in the numerator, in the x term, it's not x squared, but we see the x plus 2 quantity squared. All right, so this tells us then that the shift, okay, so this ellipse is going to shift 2 units to the left. And similarly, when we look at the y term, it's a y minus 3 squared, so that tells us that this is going to shift 3 units up. Okay, so the center then should be at negative 2 comma positive 3. Okay, 2 units to the left and 3 units up. Right? So next we can find the values of a and b. Right? So remember, a is always or in this a squared, right? A squared is always the bigger number. Okay? And remember, the location of a squared also tells us if the major axis is going to be vertical or horizontal or not. Okay? So in this case, a squared is equal to 100, okay, which means that a is equal to the square root of 100, which is 10. Similarly, b squared is equal to 64. Right? So that means b is the square root of 64, which is 8. Okay, and from here, we can just go right ahead and calculate c, right? So remember, you need to memorize this formula. C squared is equal to a squared minus b squared. So c squared is going to equal 100 minus 64, which is 36. So when we take the square root of that, c is going to equal 6. Remember, the c tells you how many units the foci is away from the center. Alright, so last thing we should do then is determine which one is the major axis. Now, because the bigger number is beneath the y term, okay, then the major axis in this case will be vertical. So what that means is we go a units away from the center, but in this case, we're going to go up and down. Okay? So we can certainly go ahead and plot the center. Right? Obviously, we should always do the center first. So the center in this case is going to be at negative 2 comma positive 3. Okay? So there's going to be our center. We also know that a is equal to 10, and we should move 10 units up. Okay? We should move 10 units up, and we should move 10 units down. Okay? So once again, the center, right? The center is going to be at negative 2 comma 3, right? Okay? Since we move 10 units up, what that vertices should be at negative 2 comma positive 13, and the other vertices is going to be at negative 2 comma negative 7. So we're just moving 10 units up and 10 units down. Now the minor axis, in this case, b is equal to 8, right? So that means from the minor axis, we're going to move 8 units to the right and 8 units to the left. Okay, so what is that going to make these points here, right? So this is going to be essentially positive 6 comma 3, and then in this case we get negative 10 comma 3. So as we see here from this point, we move 8 units to the right, and then we move 8 units to the left. Okay, so now we should be able to draw or sketch our ellipse. So this should be a football, right? This should be a football, but essentially standing on its end. I know this is a very bad drawing here, okay, but yeah, this should be a football, and the major axis is going to be vertical, right? This is the major axis. So if c is equal to 6, then what does that mean? It means that we want to move 6 units up, okay? And we also want to move 6 units down. Okay, so what are the coordinates of the foci then? So the foci then should be, right, negative 2, and then at 3 plus or minus 6. So once again, the negative 2 does not change, right? These x values are all negative 2. So we're going to move 6 units up, and we're going to move 6 units down. Okay, now in this case, because c is a nice number, we should actually be able to calculate these points, right? So negative 2 comma 9 and negative 2 comma negative 3. Right, so this is going to be negative 2 comma 9, and this point that goes down is going to be negative 2 comma negative 3.